comfortable?
Yes.
Okay, if you're comfortable, then
Except
you're good.
I don't know what's going on up here.
Yeah, I heard that, but it shouldn't be. I'm listening right now.
Yeah, damn it.
That's okay. It's okay.
Okay.
Don't worry about it. It's barely picking up, and we'll talk through it anyways.
Okay.
Okay, whenever you're
Hi,
ready.
guys. Welcome to Beyond the Box. I'm here with Logan today, and
Hello.
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 We
We've been told-
matched.
We did, yeah. We planned that
Did you
out,
realize
too.
that?
No, we didn't plan it out, but we do. Yeah, we look good.
So I wanted to talk about emotions in the world today, just something real small, and when I started thinking about it, originally I wanted to talk about what I went through as far as like relationships and emotions and all that kind of stuff, and then when I started to really like dig into it, it literally became like a tree with all these branches going out of emotions in the world. I mean, we're living in a world today that is hyper emotional. And, you know, I was thinking about it earlier. It's like, remember when you were a kid? I don't know if you remember this, but I remember when I was a kid and I walked around like in my socks and I would scoot on the floor on purpose and like shock my brother.
Yes, I do know. Yes, I do.
That's how I feel. That's how I feel the world is today.
Like people are walking around like that, and then they come up and shock you with their. Yeah, I mean that's actually that's a very interesting way to think about it.
It's just everything is just so. Everyone's on edge, and everyone is and it's like no one is regulated. No one is regulated with their system. They're just like on the surface, and it's like everybody's walking around again with like a scab, and you pick the scab and then you're just bleeding all over everybody. And it's sad because that is not how it used to be in my world. I will say like starting from my childhood, I didn't grow up with a phone, a computer, an iPad, a car with a computer in it. None of that. And I mean, I didn't even get my first phone. I'm going to out myself until I was in my 20s. So there was nothing.
My generation was the last one that grew up without smartphones, and that's.
Yeah. I mean, there was no GPS. It was a physical map.
That one's crazy to me. I would not be able to get around places. I really wouldn't.
Or it was like I stop at the Shell station and go, hey, where is this? And he'd go, well, you go down the road 2 streets, and then you turn right, and then you hit the Captain D's, and you'll take a left. And then I'm like, hey, hang on, let me write it down. You just write it down on a piece of paper, and you go. And you know what? It was, for me, great looking back because I was using my brain. Now I just punch it into a computer and it's like I'm just on autopilot.
That's like the scary thing with AI and even just like the tablet. Like that's over the weekend we had my nephews over and I was telling you about that and or I was telling you about my weekend, but we had my nephews over and one of them was just iPad kidding it the whole time.
Yeah.
And it's scary.
Yeah.
It's scary because like literally the last time he was there. Like, Chelsea was talking about this, and I thought it was really interesting. She was talking about how much she loved boredom when her kids are bored. And I was like, that is exactly what's missing from, like, that iPad kid type situation. Because the last time that he was, I swear it was the last time he was at our house.
This is so loud.
It is.
Is it too loud? Fuck. What if I shut that door? Hold on.
Lack of emotional control.
Is that what we were talking about?
Is what we were talking about.
Is it still on?
It is still on.
Okay.
Well, it's re-on. It's on again.
Okay.
It's been born again.
Okay.
We're back.
Okay.
To you guys, it felt like you want to hear something crazy? To you guys, it felt like half a second or a second or two, but that was, Meredith went all the way around the outside of the house trying to figure out what was going on. So just know that we have solved whatever issue it was.
I don't know, yeah.
But,
I got mad. There used to be, there was plumbing issues below us, but I don't know what that was.
No way.
I feel like it's upstairs.
That's what I'm saying. It sounds like they're above us.
I don't know.
Okay, well, we'll give it a shot, I suppose. It is what it is. If we ultimately, just so you know, when you watch this, we did have a different plan for today. So we're free balling it a little bit. That's okay. Do you think that what I was talking about was my nephew's being over this weekend, and it is a good segue that I could ask you, like, how much? Why do you think that it is such a bad problem? Like, do you think that it's not like emotional control, emotional regulation isn't taught?
No, I think the world that we're in today is the world of a cell phone, and there's so much. I'm sitting here reading a text. There's so much distractions when it comes to this phone, and I don't know about related to kids. Well, yes, related to kids, say teenagers or in their 20s or 30s or whatever. You know, they feel like, let me back up. Everybody has information that they can get on this phone. And it may not be the full story, but it's just enough to get your emotions going and get your blood boiling if it's something that you feel passionate about or you're mad about or whatever.
We're being tested at the moment currently.
Okay, do you want me to keep talking? It's distractions.
Yeah,
they're everywhere.
It's just tough because I don't.
Yeah.
Okay. Well,
We'll just forge through and see.
Yeah, we'll just keep trying to give it a shot. So,
anyway, it's
100% it is.
So, like I said, people get little clips or whatnot. I mean, TikTok and all that, and so they get passionate about a 1 minute clip or whatever, and they think that is the end all be all, and it gets their emotions going, and they're not able to, everybody, we're not able to regulate our emotional output, and so you just end up saying whatever, and it's breeding stupidity. It's like you get your emotions high and then your logic goes low as far as like
no, for sure.
what you're trying to say. And like I said, phones they're not contributing to our intelligence today.
Yeah,
honestly. That's so weird because you would think, because you have so much information at your hand, yet you're saying the dumbest things.
Well, it's like it's a really big I mean, you know how I am about stuff. For me, I do think about like balance when it comes to that, and it's like you get to a certain point where it's too much, it's overwhelming. There's too much information to even know what's real, what's not, and that kind of thing. And then what you also just this is ridiculous. I don't know if we're gonna be able to do this.
Oh.
I know. I've never.
I just don't know where it's coming from.
Hey, we're back again. Did that feel like half a second to you again? So yeah, as you can tell, emotional control is much needed as we work through it. Currently,
yeah, I'm getting frustrated.
I
don't know what's going on with the neighbor. I don't know if he's drilling holes or what.
He's drilling holes in metal, it sounds like. It's not quiet. It's a lot louder than it sounds on the video, especially after I do something to it. So
yeah, but this is okay.
It's definitely this.
What were we talking about?
We were talking about
social media and how it sucks.
Yes, we were.
No, it doesn't. It's like I said, on one hand, it is good. I mean, I'm very thankful for social media, especially because now I'm doing this. I'm just learning about it.
That is the ironic part of that. That's what we were talking about is there's so much information, but people feel stupider. And it's like it is like social media, phones, the internet, they're tools. They are tools at the end of the day. There are people that do good things with them, and you have the ability to do good things with them, for sure. But it's it's good to sometimes come across good things and remind you of that, because on a day-to-day basis it can be tough to remember that, because there's just so much. And what it ultimately is driven from, just to cut straight to the chase, what it's ultimately driven in a lot of cases from is because, like, if we're doing an episode right now, if I start talking right now about something insane that I know is going to piss somebody off, like, I could do that with the goal of knowing that, like, people will comment on it, people will share it.
Right.
Whether they tell their friend, hey, listen how crazy and stupid they are, or whether they tell their friend, listen how great this is. If
Yeah.
it can get engagement out of you, that's good for business.
Right.
But the problem is that, so you have to actively fight against that, is my point. Us discussing things like this isn't going to be as, like, headline grabby. That's why we do, like, with our clips, right, that you guys see.
Yeah.
At the top, I try to make it some kind of, like, poetic title, right? Like the one you posted today was, like, a vivid imagination, like something to grab the attention. But we could be in here just talking shit about
Right.
stuff that we know would piss people off all day long, and it'd grow a whole lot faster.
Yeah.
And that's unfortunate. And, like, I don't know what you do about that.
Well, I don't know either. That's why I'm hoping, with this, my goal doing this whole podcast and doing this today was not to get, any shock value or anything. It's literally just to say, okay, this is, through my healing process, this is how I have learned how to, I hate keep using the word regulate, but regulate my emotions to the point where I can walk through life and not be triggered by everything that I see,
Right.
and not pop off on anybody, because it gets to the point where you, as a person, if you're doing that all the time, it's exhausting.
100%.
It's exhausting, and it's self-defeating. And if you can walk through and be calm and hear what people have to say, take the emotion out of it, hear it logically, then it raises your intelligence. So, I feel like that's what the world needs today, is more emotional intelligence. I feel like we've got, cognitive intelligence, kind of, but, like I said, at the same time, it's weird with these phones because, like I said about the GPS before, when I just had a physical map, I had to really use my brain power to, like, figure out, I had to pay attention, I had to use my memory. Here I don't have to do a thing. Mm-hmm. Same thing with everything that people see. Our memory has just gotten to the point where we can just listen or hold this much. Our attention span is so short, and it's just bad in so many ways.
Yeah. No, 100%. No, 100% it is. And headline reading.
I hope you understand what I'm trying to say. I'm not really getting it out.
No,
very well.
it totally makes sense to me. And it is because of all those things, and it is because of the attention span, and it is because it is also because people have lives and they don't have time to look into stuff and that kind of thing. But, like, realize that and don't, like, comment on.
But it was like that. It was like that when I was growing up. Everybody had lives.
Well, what do you think about? There's no way. That's crazy. And that's just getting phone calls. My wife brought this up, and this is, we don't have to go into these subjects. That's kind of the point. I don't know. Ironically, it paints the picture anyway. But even whenever I was growing up, I was always told, like, that there's some things, two things in particular, that you just don't talk about.
Oh, politics and religion?
There you go.
Yeah.
That's what I was told. Now,
that's what I tell my kids all the time.
Totally foreign to today.
Yes.
Totally foreign to today. And I get that, because I would love to sit here, you and I could sit here and talk about religions or depth on one religion or whatever. Like, I think that that's a worthwhile, like, conversation to have. So on one hand, I do disagree with that, like, that's something you just don't talk about. I think that you do talk. It's good to talk about it, and it can. And then on the other hand,
it depends on the other person.
As an adult, I now realize why that was said when I was growing up, because you step back and you go, there's not a whole lot of good that comes from it. It's like, it doesn't seem to be.
Depending on the person, again.
Yeah.
It's I think,
to your original point, if you don't have the ability to regulate, like, if somebody else says, I don't believe in what you believe in, and there's no emotional regulation there, that could be really upsetting.
Right. You can take it personally and all that kind of stuff. And, I want to be open to listening to all sides without getting my ego involved, because that's another thing with the phones. It breeds It breeds narcissism. It inflates your ego, and it's just not good. But if you, talk about different religions, that kind of stuff, then in my eyes, it's good to have a beginner's mindset to just hear all angles, all sides. Like pretend like you're in kindergarten and you're just learning.
100%.
But it's hard for adults to do that.
It is.
It's hard to teach an old dog new tricks.
And people identify with their, it's a tough balance.
Yeah.
Like your beliefs do make up who you are in a lot of ways, but at the same time, there's no reason. Like at the same time, you have to learn that if you don't believe what I believe, that's okay. Right. I don't have to be like offended or personally like insulted if you disagree with. Right. And again, I'm not just talking about like politics or any specific. I'm just talking about in general. Like if you disagree with the way that I live, like that's all right. You're allowed to live your way. Mm-hmm. It's like we were saying this right before the episode started that I've heard recently that I really like, which is that I don't want a problem with anybody, but if you want a problem with me, it's no problem. Mm-hmm. So like I think people should feel okay with themselves enough to understand that it's all right if someone doesn't believe how they believe without picking a fight with somebody.
Right.
It's like, I don't know.
Yeah. And
so that goes to those two specific issues, religion and politics, quite closely. But it's also just the way that you live in general. Like, let people be. I don't understand why.
It's just such a different world. It's
and misery loves company. And people that don't emotionally regulate are miserable, and they just want to pass that on in a lot of cases, and that's unfortunate too.
Yeah.
But the social media and there's a lot of society today that is unfortunately set up around that, and it is scary. It is very scary.
Well, it's I want to get back to because I feel like we could go off on a tangent as far as like
you're good, do you think?
All that, but also I just wanted to say that. If we're going to talk about like emotional intelligence as far as relationships are concerned, I think it goes back to awareness. Self-awareness is like the cornerstone of that. And if you are not self-aware, then it's really hard to regulate any kind of emotionality. Is that a word? Emotionality?
I think probably.
I know what you're saying.
It probably is.
So, like, I was writing all this down, and I was thinking, like, when you have a breakup, you, of course, start to get that highlight reel in your head of, all the good times and all that kind of stuff, and then you start self-blame, and, I could have done this wrong. You start to ruminate, and that's when your nervous system just runs rampant, and you start to get that fast heartbeat, and it's almost like you're having a panic attack. Can you relate to this? I know
100%.
You're married, so I don't know.
No, 100%. I mean, again, it's like yes, 100%.
But it's you can get to the point, and this has happened to me, where you get to the point where it's just like, oh my God, I can't control everything that's going on in my head. It's like you've had a dandelion and you've blown the dandelion and all the seeds are just flying everywhere in your head. And that
I very, very much relate to that.
Yeah. I mean, your emotions are out of control.
Yeah.
And, like I said, in today's world, people, they're just walking around with all that. And then they're spouting it out to other people to make themselves feel better. It doesn't work. That's when you have to look inward at yourself and have some awareness of it. And even then, you can't do that when it's flying around in your head. So my point is, what worked for me was that, for one, I took a bunch of deep breaths and I would do something that would get me out of the situation. Just to sit here and ruminate on it, I would literally feel like I was losing my mind. So get out.
That's probably the thing that I deal with more than anything else, is that I'll just sit and
you can't just sit. You've got to do something.
You can't outthink thinking, right? Like you can't think to stop thinking. You have to just stop thinking.
So you got to get in your physical body first, meaning take deep breaths.
Have you ever meditated?
Oh, I try.
I find it shocking that you don't meditate, because what I love about meditation is that everything you're talking. I'm not trying to interrupt you. I'm going to pass it right back to you. But meditating, I did it this morning. Like I love I love.
But when you're in this kind of like dysregulation, meditating would not work for me because that's too quiet. That's just like way too much. I can't
I also do
get
a
that
guided
controlled.
meditation where someone's talking.
Right.
So like I wouldn't just sit down and try to breathe it out by myself necessarily. But the reason why I brought that up and why I do think that you would like it a lot is because meditation, everything you're saying is what someone would be talking you through in that moment. Like the one that I
Right.
use, and I could give you like my specific app later on. It's called Headspace. I've used it forever. But like this morning when I did I went like 5,000. I've gone like 5,100 and something every minute. So like I've done a lot of meditating on there.
That's awesome.
And one of the main things that meditation talks about, teaches, hammers home, whatever you want to talk about, founding principles is awareness. Like that's what it's. So like, and on that particular app, like however you're feeling, you would have a meditation for that. So if you're feeling overwhelmed, like the one that I did this morning was about acceptance, right? Because we're talking about a lot of things that I'm upset about that irritate me that are not in my control, right? And so the guy will walk you through the idea of acceptance and how it's actually about letting go of resistance, right? And today we're going to focus on here's your breath. It walks you through the breathing, but it also will say the question in this particular case, the question you're going to ask yourself today is who or what am I resisting?
Right.
And then it's like, ask yourself that, and right now breathe, and it walks you through the whole thing, right?
Yeah.
So doing that as a daily practice prevents you from getting into that kind of spiral to begin with, but also the principles around meditation are very much what you're talking about.
They're great, and I'm not.
No, you're not saying
not
anything wrong about
negating
it.
that at
No,
all.
no, I'm not saying you are.
I think meditation is a really good tool when you've gone far enough along in your healing that you can put that into practice, because that takes a lot of mind control.
Yeah.
And I'm just saying right now, say you don't have that and you're so upset and you're spinning out of control, to help you would be like, just take a few deep breaths, go outside, go for a walk, or do some gardening, or something not to distract you from what exactly you're feeling, but to calm your body down enough to where, say you do a walk, it starts to kind of reset your mind. And then after that, I would say, get it out of your head, because a lot of people will go, okay, well, I feel good now. They end it right there. I feel good. I'm good. I can just walk along and just move on. But no, you're not, because it's still in your head. Nothing has been resolved. Nothing has been looked at. That's when you need to become more aware of yourself. And in my opinion, writing it down on paper is the best thing to do, because I actually wrote this on my phone. So I said, look at wild emotions in your head as a math equation that needs to be worked on. Get out a piece of paper and write it all down without the emotion. Write down everything and be curious about it in the way you can work through what causes which emotion that causes the sadness. Does that make sense?
No, it does.
And it's about self-awareness, because your emotions are high and your logic is low at this point. But once you get it on paper, you can say, okay, this made me sad. Why did this make me sad? Why am I angry? What can I do, to really look into this? You just have to go deeper into it, and you have to take a step back. And when you do that, then all that emotion can fall away onto the paper, and then you can look at it and get clarity on it.
Yeah.
Does that?
No, I 100% agree. Journaling, writing.
Yeah, and I'm not saying to stuff anything down either. Like if you need to cry, then cry, because that is a release as well.
Right.
I would do that a lot when I was walking or hiking or whatever. It just would come over me, and I would not hold it in. I would let it out, and when I let it out, it would bring some clarity as to, God, why am I so upset? And once you start doing that, then you can apply it to life. You can apply it to, if somebody says something to you that upsets you, you can look at them and say, and think, okay, they've said something that's really upsetting me. This is not about them. This is about me. Like, there was a reason this was said, and there's a reason that I'm upset, and I'm going to logically look at it. I'm not going to pop off and well, you know what I'm trying to say. What am I trying to say?
No, you're not gonna allow that situation to trigger. You're not gonna allow
Right,
that
right.
to
I'm
take
not
you
gonna
to a
be-
place that you don't want to go to.
Right. I don't want to be triggered and say something that I will regret. I want to think about it, and I want to be intentional with what I'm trying to say. And then you come off really not having the upper hand, but just like being in control. It feels so good to be in control of your body and of your thoughts and of your emotions. You know, it's freeing in a way.
100%.
It gives you a lot of power. Whereas, like I said, today, I look at today's world and I'm like, God, we are running around like a bunch of chickens with our heads cut off. You know, and it's just like, what is everybody saying? Everybody's trying to, you know, prove their point, and it's just becoming a real
I think part of
dilemma.
Part of the issue that we face, like
lack of a better word,
that we face, is that there's so much information, like you're talking about. We see so much of that. It's like the headlines thing we were talking about. It's so much easier to write a headline about something crazy and negative. You know, the people that are emotionally regulated properly are not in the comment sections probably on Instagram, or not in
No, they're not.
You know, and that's part. It's hard to remember though. Like whenever you're reading it, you're like, God, these people are nuts. And you're like,
Yeah.
oh, this isn't everybody though.
Right.
And I don't have to, like, I'm really bad about checking comments. I read comments about, I don't even know why I do it, to be honest. And that's
well, I read
and by the
comments too,
way-
and it gets you riled up.
Right. So, but what are we talking about? Emotional intelligence, right?
Yeah.
Part of emotional intelligence is picking your battles, not putting yourself in a situation that's going to upset you.
Right. It's a skill.
Right. So like if you, it's just like a very practical thing, but like if you read the comments and it upsets you, and I didn't read the comments because I know it will upset me, so I didn't read them. That's called emotional intelligence. That's called,
Right.
This is going to upset me. I'm not going to look at it because it's going to upset me. Now there's a balance there between that and running from something, which is what you brought up, and everything that you are saying. I'm right there
Tracking
with you.
with?
Yeah, I think it's great, and that's why I'm trying to be
Let
quiet.
me go off.
I'm trying to be quiet. But what I would say is that like I think that part of the reason why we automatically discount ourselves whenever we say things, and you and I are very similar in many ways, and one of those ways is that like I can see the opposite side of the argument, and I immediately am like, wow, well maybe I shouldn't even like say that, because like there could be somebody that thinks blah 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 blah, right? And
yeah. Well, for one, we grew up in a totally different.
yeah,
You know, I grew up in a totally different era than you, so I do see things differently. I maybe see things a little bit more old school. You grew up with, you know, with this.
Well,
you know.
and I would say that the newer school way of thinking is to always think about how somebody else is going to receive what you say, and don't hurt somebody's feelings. And
I agree.
And I think that it's misguided. I think it's very misguided, and I think
Yeah.
that like the idea of like your truth is like matters as much as the truth is tough, because like it really gives people permission to kind of act however they want and believe things that are delusional, and it's, again, it comes from a really good place, and I'm working this out in real time, and I had a place I was going originally with it that I'm trying to reconnect it to, but this is important because I do think that it goes too far, right? It's out of balance whenever.
Totally out of balance.
Yeah, and I think that at this point it is very out of balance, where you can't, you know, my point is you should not feel bad. I think that it's out of balance when you feel bad, or you feel the need to preface or like soften something that you believe, whenever it's what you believe is like well-founded and you've earned it and you've been through things. Like what you believe is just as matters just as much as the person who's going to argue with you about it, and that person probably didn't do the
Work.
yes to get and so people they like challenge people on things that they don't understand, and it goes from being you shouldn't ever offend. It's like it cannibalizes itself. It's like you shouldn't ever offend anybody. You shouldn't ever say anything that might step on anybody's toes, but that's not possible to do that and also grow.
Well, the only thing that you can do, from what I've learned, is you're just in control of yourself, and
Yeah.
that's it. So all I can do is work on myself and work on my approach to hearing things, and how I take it in,
And respond.
then how I bring it out. But also, regulating your emotions also goes hand in hand with listening to the other person. Like you have to really listen to what they're saying, and then also check your intuition on if they are as emotionally intelligent as you are, because that plays a role in what you say back to them. I mean, it really is such a skill that you have to hone on the daily. And
I think that's where I was originally saying is that you have to balance all those empathies that we have been trained at this point to balance.
Yeah.
With that's what we were talking about picking your we were talking about picking your battle. I found the thread. We were talking about picking your battles, and we were talking about balance. I was talking about to bring up that there's a balance there that we all recognize, and that's why we do sometimes preface things like, well, there may be somebody that.
But I feel like we're so out of balance today that it's like I'm fighting an uphill battle. So the only thing that I can do, again, goes back to just trying to regulate myself, and then hopefully somebody will, catch on and go, oh, okay, wow, she seems very calm and regulated, and like she must meditate every day. And
you would like meditation a lot. We didn't talk about that.
I don't know.
But the specific one that I keep getting on a tangent and not actually bringing up is the picking your battles one. This is one that I struggle with, where if I the way that I've thought about it at this point is that you definitely don't want to run from things. People are running from things all the time. People are putting their heads in the sand about things all the time. And you definitely don't want to do that. You also don't want to obsess over things that you can't control. You also don't want to ruminate on things that are gone. Mm-hmm. You also don't want to create a problem that isn't there. Mm-hmm. You also don't want to pick at a scab that's trying to heal and continue to open it up. Right?
These all could be bumper stickers.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So the balance, like that, but you see why I come back to balance though? Because like you can't just say let it go, and you also can't just say the opposite of it. It has to be both.
Right.
And so that's why I always bring it back to balance. With this particular thing, we're talking about picking your battles. And I do think that like
letting it go, sorry to interrupt, is easy. Honestly. You can just, they say, well, just let it go. Just sweep it under the rug. That's what they're saying. Just let it go. Move on. Why is that bothering you? Well, it's bothering you because there's something that's touching you that is unhealed, or that is an issue that you've put under the rug. It's a lot more work to try to work through it than to sweep it under the rug.
For sure.
Does that make sense?
No, 100% makes sense. And that is the balance to what that's exactly what I was talking about, which is that everything that you just said is true. And also, and all we're doing is having a discussion here. That's what we're always doing. And I think that it's important to always say that and always keep that in mind. Both you, like, when we stop recording, keep in mind, like, this is great because we're just having a discussion. We're not here to preach at people. We're not here to give people
right.
This is 100% what you do 100% of the time. We're just human beings that are also going through shit too, and we're just trying to figure it out. And so we're just talking to people because we know other people are trying to figure it out. That's all it is. And it kind of takes the pressure off of it. But there's also a difference between letting it go. Sometimes you do need to leave things where they belong. It is my point. Mm-hmm. Sometimes it's not the connotation. I do get the connotation that you're talking about with letting it go, for sure. Yeah. I also think that there's a balance of saying that belongs where it is, and I'm going back to it over and over again. And sometimes we've done all that we can do. We've beat it to death. We've pulled all the lessons that we can pull from it. The only person keeping this alive anymore is you. You have to leave it there where it is. Mm-hmm. Like we talked about, for example, and I would say this is personal, but we've talked about this on episodes several times. But we've talked about one particular past relationship that you had that you and I have spoken about, and this page, right? That was what I was telling you that day. Is I was like, if you never, this is not a person that you ever see or talk to, like. So we have at some point the choice to realize that we're going there we're going back there over and over again. And that's where I think it's important.
Well, it keeps it alive, for one.
That's when it is important to let go. While also you don't want to let go of things that you still need to work through.
Right.
So the reason why I say that we're always discussing things is because I'm tying it to my earlier idea that it always comes back to balance, and that's why you could sit here and talk about this stuff forever, because you could bring up one such situation where the balance is one thing, and another situation where the balance is totally different with the same two things that you're trying to balance.
Yeah. Well, for once, I really wasn't thinking. Was I thinking about that relationship?
No, you weren't. I was just bringing that up as an example of something that like we can choose to not go back to.
Right.
That we can just leave where it is and truly let it go, not because you're running from it but
it and I can understand too. Okay, you're talking about leaving a relationship and just moving on because feeding it, giving it that energy is just keeping it alive. Yes. But it's more than that. I mean, the reason that I was coming on was just to explain how what a way is to get it out of your head and not have you ruminate on these things. You know, it is a process, but you also have to be willing and ready to face, you know, everything that is spinning in your head. It's
100%.
You know,
100%.
and that takes skill. It takes work. It takes, you know, somebody going, I really want to figure myself out. And you have to be curious about who you are. It almost for me became like this game that I just wanted to, I really wanted to figure myself out. You know, it was like, you know, the Operation game.
Yeah.
Totally.
Yes, I know Operation. I've played Operation many times.
Yes.
Go ahead.
It's like that game. It's just like, God, I just want to like be able to get that piece out without it beeping and me figure out like what is under there, you know, and figure the mechanics of it. And then once I did, like I said, it feels good.
Yeah.
Because it's like, wow, I actually know who I am. You can walk through life and know exactly who you are and what upsets you and it just is. Well, it's just freeing. I don't know.
No, it is. It's amazing, and there's a reason why you feel compelled to talk about it because it's impacted your life. A and B. You know, like I have a friend of mine who I gave some book recommendations to last week, and we usually just talk about football and stuff. But I had a feeling he was kind of like that he would enjoy this. But anyways, we were basically talking about some philosophy stuff, and he was kind of to what we were talking about before. He was kind of like, yeah, I mean, I do like almost like he was embarrassed to like philosophy, and I'm like.
Oh.
I'm like, do you really like the philosophy?
Why?
Philosophy means study of life, how to live.
Yeah.
What could be more important?
Yeah.
What could be more freeing? What could compel you to speak to others and share it more so than learning what you're doing and why you're doing it and why other people do what they're doing and how to live better and how to be more grateful.
Because maybe he didn't feel like that was cool.
That's.
You know?
100%. That's why.
I mean, I know a lot of people that do that.
If we sat there and talked for 4 hours about fucking football, we wouldn't think a thing about it.
Right.
God forbid that we sat there and talk about how to control our emotions. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's that part's something to think about too.
I don't know. What's wrong?
What?
Is anything wrong?
Me?
No.
No, I was just resetting the camera. No, I was resetting.
What's wrong?
No, I was resetting the camera. So yeah, I think it's a super important topic.
Yeah.
Is my point. It's weird, like it's quote unquote weird, like you're not cool because we're talking about philosophy. It's like, dude, it's totally normal. It's actually great. It's like what we're doing here is great.
Yeah,
it's like,
and what's well, I don't know. It's different with guys. It's like it's not like. See, if I was sitting there with him, I would probably say something like, why do you feel like, why does this embarrass you to like think about this? And then he would that would embarrass him more. So it's just like.
But that was me basically saying to him. I mean, that's basically what I said to him. I was like, dude, there's nothing to be embarrassed about.
But I mean, is this harder for guys to to connect with like emotion and.
I mean, I think in general, it seems to be, for sure. I mean, yeah, I think so. I mean,
Because it's not masculine or what?
I don't think that. I think that it's as a human being, it's just difficult to get into these things like we're talking about. Very important, but difficult, like we're talking about.
Yeah.
So there's a big group of people that you can just take out because of that. It's like it's hard, and they're just not going to do it. And men, I think, could probably fall into that category more so than women, that they're just not going to do it because it's hard. So there's some of that. Then there is.
Let me ask you: do guys have like spiraling thoughts and that kind of
I
stuff,
do.
or is that a girl thing?
I do. Well, I mean,
Yeah.
the reason why I meditated this morning, not to get caught up on the meditation thing, but the reason why I meditated this morning and wrote this morning was because I was spiraling. So, like, everything that I've been saying to you before, or today so far, was to confirm and validate what you're saying, not to argue with it. It's to say that, like,
Yeah.
100% awareness is super important. It's one of the founding principles of meditation, which is a practice that's been going on for thousands of years. That's just me.
So you wrote it down and
Validate.
everything when you were.
This morning I wrote actually this morning I did a journal entry for the first time in years.
Yeah.
And
that's awesome.
I specifically meditated because I was having a spiral thought about shit that doesn't matter, things that happened in the past, things that, that's what trauma does, right? A lot of times trauma, it's not that it doesn't matter. Again, there's a balance. It's like it does matter. I'm not telling you leave it alone when things matter. I'm not telling you ignore it. But what I am telling you is that, like in this book, I'm on a tangent already. At least I'm calling it out before it happens. But I'm about to go on a tangent real quick. There's a book called The Subtle Art of Not Giving a Fuck is what it's called. And
I've read it.
okay.
Yeah.
So what I think that book could be titled is Prioritize Your Thoughts. You only have so
Yeah.
much time. You only have so many things you can think about. You only have so much emotion to give.
Right.
So, like, think about what you're giving it to. But one of the things that he says in there that's, like, really, like, kind of a mind fuck, it's, like, really hard to get your brain around, is that the pursuit of something is a negative. The pursuit of something is a negative experience. So if you're pursuing peace, the pursuing of it is because you don't have it.
Right.
Right. That's why sometimes people say like if you're obsessed all the time, like people, and I disagree with this heavily, and I actually hate the place that it comes from. So I struggle. I kind of don't even want to bring it up. But whenever people give people shit for doing affirmations, they don't understand why people do that. But where they're coming from is like that if you have to tell yourself all the time that you're confident, then you're probably not confident.
Yeah, I was gonna say affirmations don't do a thing for me.
And I get that. But
I immediately go to Saturday Night Live.
And I'll go.
That skit.
This is like another tangent, but your brain believes what you tell your brain, and it does not discriminate. So, affirmations work. Like scientifically, your brain will rewire itself to believe what you tell it. That's just a fact. Now, whether putting Post-it notes on your mirror works for you,
But you have to believe it.
You do have to
so
believe
you
it.
have to do the work before you can just say, "I'm pretty today."
again, this is.
you have to.
But again, this is the duality. This is the balance of it, right? Because you also have to believe it to make that movement, to do the thing that makes you hit the thing anyway. That's why they say, "Fake it till you make it." Because
Yeah.
sometimes you got to pretend. Like for
Right.
example, you could say,
Yes, that's true.
For example, you could say, "What would a confident person do?" And you could do that. Then you are being confident, although
Right.
to start with you weren't. And then
Yeah.
after the fact, you could be like, "Oh, that's what I was correct. That is what a confident person does. I could just do that."
Yeah, totally. You have to be a good actor. Like
And right.
when I did the Jason Whitlock thing with
Yeah.
I mean, I didn't know
100%.
how to be a makeup artist.
But
or-
had you, for whatever reason, fallen in love with that and stuck with it, the first step was to be confident enough to just say, "Fuck it, I'm gonna go do it."
Right.
So like it is a
Yeah.
balance where you like another like thing that I love when it comes to that is that like I'm really bad about this. My sister said this was one of the best pieces of advice I ever gave her, and I still get stuck with this like really badly. But we always think that and like we were just talking about that just now, basically. We always think like we're always sitting around waiting for like something something to happen, like some like motivational thing to like come in or some feeling to come in and like make you go do whatever it is. I'm talking very generally right now. But in reality, you go do the thing and that makes you feel good and then you do it more. So like it's the action first that breeds the motivation. And then the
Right.
motivation allows you to continue, which builds momentum, and then momentum takes on a life of its own. So the point being is that a lot of times we just sit and fucking wait. We just sit around and waiting
Yeah.
for this feeling of confidence to rise, or this feeling of I'm good enough or I'm worthy to arise. And it's like, no, you have to tell yourself that you're worthy so that you go do things that prove to you that you're worthy.
Yeah.
That validate that feeling.
Yeah.
Because otherwise, you're just constantly validating the other story that you're telling yourself. And we talked about this before. We're all telling ourselves a story, and then you get real defensive about it. So if not you, but anybody does.
Yeah, I mean, you can own it for sure because it's comfortable, it's familiar.
100%.
And
you take the devil you
it's
know.
who you are.
You take the devil you know versus the devil you don't know, right? Or
Yeah.
it's scarier to go into the unknown. You'll just keep with what you know.
Yeah.
And we all do that too. And so if you sit in that and you never make that, like I heard actually on Dancing with the Stars, it was Derek Huff that said this. Swear to God, I really loved the way that he put this. I'd never heard anybody
Look
say
at
it.
you.
I'd never heard
quoting Derek Huff.
I know. Listen, after one of the dances, he said, "Confidence isn't something you have; it's something you do." And I was like,
Yeah.
that's kind of crazy, like to think about, because how often do I not do something because I don't feel confident, or I don't feel like it's going to be good, or I don't feel.
Well, again, you have to get into that beginner's mindset, and then you also have to start to not worry about what everybody else thinks. It's
100%.
because it's really about you. You're moving through this world by yourself.
I agree.
You know,
Yeah.
and if you sit and worry about, God, what are they going to think, and what are they going to say, and they're going to laugh at me, and then it just stunts you.
100%.
Yeah, you can't go anywhere.
And there's realities to why we are like that. Like if you do something that, like, it's like, for example, your brain is socially wired to not want to be kicked out of the groups that you're in. Mm-hmm. And that's a scary thing to overcome, but you have to. Like you're saying, you have to. I mean, it really just doesn't, like the confidence thing, for example, like it really, who cares? It really doesn't matter. Like, and then you think about that, you go, oh, I just do it.
Right.
That can't be that simple. It is. Like, that's also the other thing that we do is we way overcomplicate things.
Yeah.
I think. And I went on that tangent that I just went on. I forgot what we
No,
were
I'm just trying to
about.
think, God, are we still talking about, we're still talking about emotion.
We're talking about emotions for sure. That's why I interrupted
like
a minute
it's muddled.
ago. That's the reason why I said a minute ago that we're just discussing. We're just having a conversation. There's no, like...
This conversation has been like, I was thinking it was like a snake, but it's kind of been like this because we went through the whole, like, what's going on with this place.
Yeah.
To emotions, to whatever we were just talking about.
We talked about this before, but I think that it's a good idea to think that, like, if this episode that we're doing right now, if somebody's watching it and all it does is make them think a little bit,
then we win.
That's it, right? We're not trying to be like king and queen of your freaking life. Like, you know what I mean? You're all big boys and girls. You can do whatever you want.
Yeah.
You're all adults.
Yeah, we're just trying to give a few, like, little tips.
And your experience,
emotional regulation.
Your experience, and I'm talking about you, Meredith. Like, your experience matters, and what you've been through matters, and what you've learned matters, and your desire to share that with people matters. And so, if you want to share what you've been through with people, and hopefully they can take something from it, that's enough. There doesn't have to be like a grand, like, into this episode where we go, all right, guys, and here's your silver bullet. Like, none of us have that anyway. So
yeah.
So I think that anytime that we're having a discussion, as long as it's from a good place, and I think it's good.
Yeah, it is good. Okay, well, I don't know what else to say.
Well, look through your notes. I hijacked you there at the end a little bit.
It's okay. It's okay. Yeah.
And I think, too...
I will say something real quick, that this is another thing that I've noticed is, you know, now that I'm trying to change my neural pathways and I'm trying to, I don't want to say be a better person, but I'm just trying to be more authentic and aware. It's funny how you change, and then the people that were in your past may have a hard time seeing that change in you. And so to that, I say, don't go backwards. Just keep going forwards. And hopefully by your, God, what is going on? I'm so popular. Hopefully from your actions and how you live going forward, people will be open to that and they'll see it. My point is there as well is, for instance, my kids. I think that they see me as how I was in the past. Mm. And it is hard for kids to see their parents in a different light. Because I'm sure they think, which is what I've said to you, that it's hard to teach an old dog new tricks. And I'm sure that they probably think that. But hopefully, I can just keep living the way I'm living now in my new authentic self, and they'll see that, wow, she's different in some way. And that's all I want. Is just, just for people to see that I'm trying to be more authentic in my life. Does that make sense?
No, it definitely does.
Yeah.
It definitely does, and I hope that happens, and I think that it will.
Yeah.
I really do.
You don't have to. You don't have to put on that.
No, I love it. I seriously do. I'm just listening. I'm
Yeah.
just listening.
Yeah.
And you got to stop thinking that what you're saying isn't good. Because I'm telling you, whenever I do the clips, I told you the last time that we talked, you would say that after stuff that you said, and I quite literally used the stuff you said right before that for like 4 clips.
Yeah. Well,
So it makes you uncomfortable because you're being very vulnerable and you're being very open and you're saying things that mean a lot to you, and that so it naturally you're like, oh well, that
it doesn't bother me as it used to.
100%.
At the very beginning.
You are so in a different place than
Yeah.
and honest to God, and again, this is like, I don't really care either way. If first of all, if you're still with us like an hour in, the people that are still listening, they care. Okay, so
Yeah.
we're good to go. But that is for me, and I can share this with you too. Like, you have been a very refreshing for me, but I really needed somebody like you in my life, especially from a business perspective, because there's so many people that are so jaded and fucked up in their head and not doing things for the right reason and are lying and using people, and there's just a lot of the shit that we're talking about right now that goes on, and a lot of it does come back to that. You're hurting me because you're hurt and you don't know how to deal with it.
Right.
You're manipulating me because you don't believe in yourself enough to just go do your thing, so you got to manipulate people to get to where you want to go,
Right.
etc. Like, all of this is like a you thing most of the time.
And after you start seeing that, it just becomes so easy.
Yeah.
It's just like, wow, I don't take this personally at all. This is
Well, and the brain is like a muscle. You can practice it. It takes repetition. Like, letting things go, it takes repetition. And like you were just talking about that, not to go on this tangent too, but like your kids, when I was talking before about letting go versus, and if I think I want to write a book about balance, and that's how I would phrase it, is like this versus that, right? So like letting go versus accountability, for example. You can't control necessarily whether they let go of that version of you. You can only control whether you let go of that version of you.
right.
And you shouldn't let go of that version of you if you've done absolutely fucking jack shit to fix it. Like, you should fix. But God bless, what do you do all day, every day? What are we doing right now? Why do you go on hikes? What have you been doing for the last year and some change? Is working on leaving that version of yourself, not because you hate her, but because you love her and want better for her,
Right.
behind. So at some point, this is what I was talking about. I found my way back to
Good
this somehow.
words, Logan.
I almost said that would have been crazy timing. The subtle art of not giving a fuck. When he says that you're pursuing something and that can turn into a negative thing, that's what I mean by at some point you got to let go. At some point you're holding on so hard, it's cutting you, it's hurting you at this point. Before it was like you won't even look at it and it's hurting you. Now it's like you won't let it go and it's hurting you.
Right.
And both can be true.
Yeah.
And like what you're saying about your kids is like, you gotta, there comes a point, and that one in particular, like kids, parents, like we talked about my mom before this. Those, I would probably be safe to say those are the toughest ones.
Yeah.
Best friends, these kind of things. But parents and kids, this is really tough stuff.
Yeah, you're living with them, and
They
it's
like
see
a piece
you
of
on,
you. Well, it's also a piece of you
on the daily.
Your kid being, right? Like you look at your children, and that's like a piece of you. So for them to in any way like reject you, I can't imagine.
Yeah.
And so all that being said, the truth still remains that you can only be who you are now and let that version of you go.
Yeah.
You can't make them do it. You can just keep being who you are, and eventually, this is what I've said this to you before. Eventually, they will see it.
Yeah.
There's a lag to that too that I find, and I've tried to like start my own stuff many times. Obviously, this business, but like my own channel that I'm doing now. I did it before, and one of the things that hurts my feelings is the lack of support that you get from people that you would think would care a whole lot.
Yeah.
But when
you can't focus on that, because then that just brings you down.
You can't, and that's not ultimately. You're doing this for you,
right?
Even outside of your kids.
Why are you
even
doing
outside
it?
of your kids, even outside of my parents. Like, I'm not trying. Yes, I would love to make my parents proud. Yes, you would love your kids to look at you accurately. but you're doing it because you needed to make these changes. I'm doing it because I need to live this way, and that has to remain the priority.
Yeah.
But at the same time,
and that's not selfish.
It's absolutely
at
not
all. I think a lot of people get hung up on the fact that, gosh, if I just focus on me, then I'm just being so selfish, and I just need to take care of everybody else. Well, you have to take care of yourself before you can be healthy enough to take care of anyone else. And that goes with physicality and your emotional health.
100%.
It's just all of it.
If I broke my leg right now and you can't help me because you can't get me out, or whatever, but emotionally it's the exact same thing. You can't give something that you don't have. You can't give love when you don't have love for yourself.
Yes,
right?
Preach. Yeah.
And so a lot of times people aren't giving love because they don't got it. They don't have it to give. Yeah. And by the way, like you said about not being selfish, it's also not selfish to say, I don't know what your deal is. Mm-hmm. That ain't my fucking problem to fix.
Yeah.
That's not selfish to say I don't know why you're giving.
I mean, I wouldn't word it like that. But
right. Well, I'm visualizing people that are being hateful, right? People that are being hateful that are just spewing shit onto you. Right. You're gonna fix that. That's not your problem. If somebody's gonna treat you like that, then listen. I know that you're miserable and you're just misery loves company. Mm-hmm. I know that. But I gotta teach you that. Sometimes you just
right. I mean, you can't. There needs to be a level of compassion.
100%.
Is what you're saying. Like the whole that whole Mel Robbins thing when she's like, let them, if they're doing whatever, just let them. Maybe in some instances, but you have to let them but also see them as to where they are in their life, like see them and understand that they are not where you are maybe yet.
Right.
And so you can move away from it, but still have compassion for them and not want to fix them. Mm-hmm. And so all of that, like I said, that is an emotional awareness.
100%.
And it's something that you really have to sit with and think about.
Well, it's difficult because
it takes work to do that. It's not does. Just like, I can just look at you and just immediately do that.
And while we're talking about it, yes, whenever it does take work, and that's my point, and always pointing out to you the things that you've done, because you I hate you think you're better than me type person. Mm-hmm. I hate that shit. I hate that shit. Because I'm not going to sit here and be an asshole and be like, oh, yeah, I'm better than you. But at the same time, don't make me feel bad.
Right.
Don't try to make me feel bad. Because
that's on them.
Because 100%.
The insecurities coming out.
1,000% it is. 1,000. But people use shit like that all the time. People try to make you feel bad for trying to grab something. Right. It's like crabs in a barrel.
Yeah. And
I think you can get to it.
You can be at this level where that really affects you. Or you can all you can do is just work on yourself, and that will take you to another level. And yes, you may be right here, and they may be right here, but you don't have to acknowledge it. You can just know in yourself that, I'm a little bit further along than you, and that's okay because, that's just the way life is.
100%.
No one's going.
Well, what's the point
at the same time?
And this is something that I struggle with, right? Well, it's what we were talking about before. Because I do focus on improvement and getting better, but at the same time, you don't want to hate yourself. You're not trying to get better because you hate yourself. Mm-hmm. You're trying to get better out of love,
right?
As best you can. And ideally, if you need to not have people in your life because they refuse to come to a certain level, that you should do that out of love for yourself. Yeah. Because if that person's not treating you right, then out of love for yourself, they shouldn't be in your life. But if you have to justify it with them, it's like, well, I'm also doing it out of love for you because I'm teaching you can't treat people like this. So either you're going to change and then maybe you could be in my life, or you're just going to keep doing you, and that's cool, but I'm going to make that decision that's best for me.
Right.
So you were asking me if I spiral and if things go, what you're witnessing is about 700 different thoughts going. And what happens
it's so funny because you got quiet and then I heard the siren.
It's good time.
And I was just like, timing. Is that going on in his head? So I was laughing because I was like, it's poignant.
And one thing that I will connect back to that you said is that it's not selfish. we used this example before, but the putting your mask on first, and it's like I know everybody uses that. It's like, no, hold on a second.
Yeah.
There's a reason why,
Yeah.
because if the blade's going down, if that doesn't make you step back for a second and go, wait a second, if that don't apply to life,
Yeah, it
if that
applies.
don't apply to life, I don't know what does, because you cannot. And the example, that's what it was. I knew there was something in there that I wanted to pull back to. I saw this the other day too that I liked, and it said, like I said a second ago, you can't give something that you don't have, but I also like the way that it was put, where it's like, pour into other people from the overflow of your cup.
Oh, that's a good one. Yeah.
I like that because
Did
it's
you
like,
just make that up?
no, I heard that the other day. That's what I'm
Okay.
saying. I
was getting ready to be really impressed
My
with you.
my superpower is retention. So if I hear something, I usually will remember it.
Oh, that's good.
But
I can't retain anything.
but then I also have like huge trauma fog periods in my life that I don't remember at all.
Yeah.
But that's okay. But I like that a lot though.
I actually thought about taking a course on how to retain things. I saw it on TikTok.
One way that you retain things is writing things down, to what you were saying earlier too. So whenever you're working things out, and this is a scientific thing as well. Like today, whenever I was writing,
if I'm interested in something, I'll retain it. But
well, yeah, naturally.
yeah.
But reteaching what you is a whole other thing as well. But I'm trying to think about how to bottle it quickly. But essentially, whenever I went to therapy, there was a process called reframing.
Mm-hmm.
And we've talked a lot about it in one way or another through here. But basically, you look back at things, particularly in your childhood. This is particularly used whenever you have childhood things, because you look back at things that happened when you were a child that you've told yourself a story about, and then as an adult, you look at it and you realize that story you told yourself doesn't make any sense. It made sense to you and you've accepted it. But that's what you told yourself at the time, and then you just accepted it and never really thought about it again. And then now as you think about it,
and that worked for you? Reframing?
It does in some cases. And he even explained, my therapist, which I could go on a whole other thing about that. I really respect the way that he went about it. But he even explained that he doesn't even, therapists don't even really understand why it works so well, basically. And the same thing with...
Nothing like teaching something you don't understand how it works.
Well, they know for a fact, very provably, that it does work, and they know how to make it happen. It's also with EMDR is the thing that we did it hand in hand with. An EMDR is basically where you activate both sides of your brain at the same time, right? So you could, for people that don't know, that's why sometimes you see this, because you're supposed to use both your eyes. It's supposed to cross over from one side to the other side, and then a lot of times you'll also hear... there would be sounds at the same time. So you're doing this with one side of your brain, and you're listening and thinking with the other side. So you're supposed it's supposed to try to activate. It's been years since I've done it, but the point being is that he could they can tell you biologically this is what's happening whenever you do this therapy, and this is how it helps, and this is why it helps.
Sounds so fancy.
But it also took him 3-4 years to get to the point where he even introduced it to me, because he understood that I wouldn't do it if I didn't understand why.
You were in therapy for 3 or 4 years?
Probably, yeah. Off and on. Probably more than that.
Okay.
But
that's good.
Which is also a balance, though, too, because you, again, beating something to a... So eventually I stopped.
Yeah. I couldn't be in therapy that long, but...
But the point is that this was during the most intensive periods that we were doing this kind of stuff, where we're very directly going back into memories.
Right.
And reframing them. And we would do entire sessions with just one memory, and it does just like he explained, it did work in a weird way. It did it's kind of like awareness. A lot of times whenever people say they'll be oh yeah, okay, you just be aware of your shit and it just goes away. It's no, it's not really that easy, but also it is kind of in a way it does. A lot of times whenever you're aware of it, it does kind of go away. It sounds too good to be true, but if you know where it's coming from, it does kind of...
Well, I mean, again,
it melts away almost by itself.
Right. You have to be aware of it, and then that way you can work on it.
100%. And how many times since you've been focusing on this have you gone, oh,
yeah,
and it just kind of evaporates?
Well, I think what a lot of people do is they are aware of said trauma or whatever somebody said, and then they let it go. It's just well, I'm aware of it, and
they ignore it. They ignore it.
I'm just gonna do this and just, keep on walking.
But I think a lot of people. I mean, we talked to Chelsea, right? It can be bad or good. We talked to Chelsea, and we asked her at the beginning of the episode, "Do you think that your childhood the way that your parents treated you with freedom and kind of encouraged you to be creative, do you think that that's the reason why you do some of the things you do with your kids today? And she talked through it, and she was talking about how when they get bored, she loves it because they get creative. We were talking about this earlier. And then towards the end, she goes, I actually never even thought about that.
Yeah, I mean,
and it's like,
you're definitely, how you were raised plays into
I just mean that people
wiring.
aren't aware generally.
Oh, yeah,
to your
right,
point.
right.
They're not generally aware of why they're doing what they're doing, etc.
Right.
And
we're getting off on a tangent.
yeah, we had a good reason for talking about that, but earlier I was talking about the pursuit of something can turn negative, and that's what I was talking. That's what found the thread again somehow. But we were talking about letting go and being aware and this kind of thing. And but letting go at some point is necessary, because if you don't, then you're just focusing on something that becomes a negative experience. Like you're like at some point.
Yeah.
I think so. And that's all that balance is too. I'll leave it at this. Balance in general, I think, is really not that it's not that complicated, and it's not really art.
Pretty elementary.
It kind of is and it's also like
Think
not
of a seesaw.
Right.
We're like right here.
Well, and the thing is like, have you ever heard of the law? You're going to like this. The law of marginal return. It's like an economics principle, generally speaking.
I got a D in economics.
So basically, something, let's
I
say.
cheated my way through it, but.
I probably did too, to be fair. The only reason I remember stuff like that is because
I do remember it though.
So eventually, let's say something makes you get $1 profit return from something. Eventually, for various reasons, it starts to return less. There's a law of maximum value, right? Like there's a certain maximum value that everything has before it starts to become a negative. Like an easy example is water, right? Like everyone, probably like 9 out of 10 people don't drink enough water, right? Like we're all dehydrated as shit, which is another reason why people walk around fucking pissed off.
Yeah.
But that's another thing. But we're all probably dehydrated. Right, but also every single one of us can drown. You know how you drown? You fucking drink water. It fills your lungs and you drown.
Yes.
Like you can drown from the same thing that gives us life. Like this planet has life because of water. It will also kill you.
Right.
Right? So, like 100%. So, balance is not like stand and balance.
Karate Kid.
Right. Balance is the law of maximum return. It's the law of maximum value. Everything has a maximum return that it will give you, where before it starts to give you less and less return, and then eventually becomes a negative.
Okay.
So letting go.
I'm really having to focus here because we're talking like economic stuff. It's so boring to me.
So to translate it to real life, you have to accept everything. Let's say, so things that you can't control, you should accept. But should you accept it if you just like canceled on me today and never called me and like did a bunch of fucked up shit and didn't? No, of course not. There's a level to which you should stop accepting your own behavior, but there's also a level to which you should let go of things that you can't control. So acceptance has a correct level of balance where you can't have too much of it, or you're just ignoring things now. Now you're just letting things happen. You're like, well, I'm just accepting everything, so who cares? I didn't get up this morning. That had anything to do with me. I'm just accepting everything. Well, that's too much acceptance. You got to bring it back to the right level of value, right? So when we're talking about letting go, you should hold yourself accountable. You should pay attention to the things that bother you. You should get deep into them. You should figure out why. And then let it go. Because at some point you reach a maximum value of doing that.
Okay.
And now it's starting to actually hurt. I'm thinking about this like a chart, right?
Okay.
So you reach a maximum level of value of thinking about something to where now it's not even giving you anything anymore. It's taking from you.
Right.
And so what we were talking about before to connect to that is that like one great example of something that.
But you have to be healthy enough to
do that. You got to do that initial stuff first, too, for sure. But one great example is what we were talking about before, where you absolutely have to let go of who you were to be who you are now. You have to do that.
Right. Yeah. And it's sometimes that's.
So letting go is not inherently a bad thing. It's a level. It's a.
Right, but yes.
You got to find the right point.
And you have to be in the right headspace to do that, and be okay with saying goodbye to certain things.
100%.
Which is
right time and place is what.
You know.
Also a balance.
Yes.
Right. That's what I'm saying. It
Period.
just comes. It always comes. And it's easier. It's way easier to say everything has a correct balance. Way easier to say that than to find the correct balance.
Yeah.
But finding the correct balance is why we just sat here and talked for an hour.
Yeah.
That's all that it is. It's okay. We're
Just
still
turn
going. They're
off?
still listening to us.
Okay.
There may be a logo
Click.
over our faces for this exact second, but they're still listening.
Okay.
But yeah, that's why we have
Well-
these discussions. At the end of the day, in my opinion, is to find the correct balances. That's what I think.
Okay. I think we did a pretty good job. Considering all the distractions that we had at the beginning, which was a lot. This almost did not happen. It was like a no go. I was getting ready. Huh?
So I won't even turn my back on. You can just tell them we're
Yeah.
closing in.
I was getting ready to get really upset because I didn't think that we were going to be able to do this today. And I was just thinking, I've already done my hair. I like this outfit. And so whatever. So we did it.
We pushed through it, and you end up. I think a lot of times you end up having.
Yeah.
It usually turns out better than you thought. When you're just like, no, we're gonna do
It
it.
was good. We were pontificating eloquently today.
Pontificating eloquently.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to hear nothing from you anymore after that. After you just said that, pontificating eloquently. That's
It's a mouthful.
that's a good one.
Okay. We're done.
We're done.
Thank
We'll see you guys
you.
next time. Subscribe and like and all the stuff. Thank you for the
Yep.
support so far.
Goodbye.